actually, let's. I think our first guest is ready, so let's get into it. Is this the one and only stuntman himself, Mr. Eddie Braun?
Hi, indeed it is Eddie Braun. I don't know about the one and only though, but how are you?
Good, Eddie. How you been, man?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on your show.
Awesome. Well, you know what? You were on here a few years ago before you actually made the jump. You were on here.
Yeah, I remember that, and it was a totally different feeling because I was talking about something I had not done yet, and one never feels totally confident when they're just talking about something.
You know, it's so I went back and was watching the jump again today, and I just think to myself, like, I remember when we talked to you last time, it was just like you got to be scared. Like, you had to be so scared going into that.
Of course I was. Of course I was. I'd be lying to you if I said anything different.
did you like?
Yeah, I was scared.
But at any point, did you think to yourself, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? Like, how did I get myself into this?
Well, no, I never thought why I was doing it because I knew crystal clear why I was doing it. However, I did question a lot, what the hell am I doing? But I was pretty committed. You don't take an audacious undertaking like that unless you're fully committed.
Now, at one point, do you realize you're 100% committed? Is it when you're actually sitting in the rocket, getting ready to go?
Well, there's that, but no, I pretty much try and, again, I try. I'm not always successful, but I try and live my life the way that I let my yeses be yes and my no's be no, and I said I was going to attempt it, and I meant that at every stage of it.
It's still amazing what you did. It really is. Do you like think back and like, wow, I really can't believe I did that.
Well, yeah, I do think about it. It's not so much the act of crossing the canyon in the rocket. It was everything that led up to it that was really, really difficult. I mean, you have no idea how hard it is in this day and age when you tell even the government that you want to build in essence, a missile and fire it across the canyon. I mean, you got to convince an awful lot of people that you're not completely nuts to sign off on it.
Well, you know what? There was a lot of other, too, at that same time, there was a few other daredevils that were saying that they were going to do it, and they were fighting to do it, and it was a whole race to do it.
Well, that really made my job 1,000 times harder. Sure, there were a lot of people beating their chest and saying they were going to do it. Some of them maybe intended to do it. Others had no intention of doing it. They were just trying to build up their own hype for some pseudo paycheck or something. And all that did was muddy the waters for me, and it made my job 10 times as difficult. It was awful, getting through all of that. I'd like to see, originally when I went into the room, they had a public land auction for part of the canyon, and the room was packed full of guys, packed full of people. Every one of these guys, wearing some logo shirt and a sideways baseball cap, looking really stupid, saying they were going to do it, and it was awful, man. I'd love to see that room full of those people now and say, hey, what happened to all that hot air?
As a matter of fact, I know we talked to a few other daredevils that were in that room, and did any of them reach out to you afterwards and congratulate you?
No, actually, no, they didn't. No, they didn't. And it's just, first of all, let me clear up something that it bears commenting on. In so much as that whole room, I'm pretty sure I was the only guy in there that was a professional stuntman. And you mentioned the word daredevil. There is a very distinct difference between a daredevil and a professional stuntman. Okay? And I think that also was the reason that none of them really followed through. Because in my opinion, a daredevil does something mostly to glorify themselves.
Yeah.
It's always their name. It's always their hype. And, there's a reason I named my rocket the Evil Spirit and not the Eddie Braun. For me, professional stuntmen, they're part of a team. That they make movies, and it's the star that gets the credit, and the stuntman just does his job. He's fine. He collects his check, and he goes on. I came at this for those very reasons, to do something to finish out what my hero started, Evel Knievel. I didn't do something that he couldn't do. I simply finished what he started. Kind of like a relief pitcher that comes in the eighth inning. That doesn't mean the other pitchers sucked or they couldn't do anything. The reliever comes in and just finishes it out. They're all part of the same team. And
right.
For me, this whole thing was about honoring the man that inspired me, inspired a generation. Evel Knievel, man. I mean, there's only one Evel Knievel, and I'm certainly not him. And anybody claiming to try and be like Evel Knievel, that's like, especially guys that wear a cape and stuff, that's like a bad Elvis impersonator. You can go to Vegas and see guys wearing capes all the time. I think it's sacrilegious. I really do. No, I went in to finish what my hero started. He inspired me. My rocket was called the Evil Spirit, and it was all about that, not about glorifying myself. For me, this was kind of a mic drop for me. I do this, and I fade quietly into the distance. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you were. I mean, let's face it. You're not that Evel Knievel personality. You're not that loud, outspoken person. And
I'm just not that flashy or charismatic. Let's be honest. Yeah. I'm actually quite boring in person. Ask anybody that knows me. I'm serious.
You did your mic drop. Like you jumped the canyon, and that was it. But now, I mean, the mic drop's not over, because now you have this documentary about the whole process and the jump and everything that's getting tremendous reviews. You're winning awards. So, I mean, this is all living on now.
Well, I got to tell you, though, I never did it. Never did it to win awards. I never did. Evel Knievel said something that was so prophetic when he did. He really did after he attempted it. And I don't know if he even knew the significance of what he said. And what he said was, you got to be willing to cross that canyon for nothing before you'll do it for anything. He said those words. And wow. I set out to cross that canyon. I didn't care if one person saw it or 500,000 people saw it. It didn't matter to me. I wasn't doing it for them. In fact, for years, I got ridiculed and mocked. Hey, how come your rocket thing didn't get big TV exposure and blah, blah, blah. I didn't really care for it to. I didn't do it for that. I did it to oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, like, you again, like, where Evel had, the pay-per-view and they sold tickets and they had this huge crowd there. It was just you and the crew and Scott. It was just you guys. It wasn't this whole big fanfare.
What? Well, partly by design. You got to understand, along the way, there were a lot of people that did not want me to do it, and they were going at great lengths to stop me from doing it. So we had to throw a curveball there and let everyone think we were launching on what. See, nobody could grasp the idea that I wasn't doing it for a big special or a big live event. Nobody could grasp that. It's like, why are you doing this if you're not going to do it? I always knew in my heart of hearts that if I could film it and have a movie that I was proud of, whether it was a home movie, a glorified home movie, or a movie that people actually want to see, I knew if I did a really good job, that may perhaps outlast me. A TV special, it comes, it's gone and forgotten. But film lasts forever, man. And if you could do a good one that you're proud of, it's either going to be the greatest home movie that you hand out at Christmas time, or people are going to want to see it. And I set out to do that from the beginning. I had two mission statements. One was to actually try and cross the canyon and survive, and the other one was to document it for posterity. Plain and simple, those two things. And like I said, whether one person saw it or 50 people saw it, it didn't matter to me.
Wow.
So now that I have a film and people perceive it as good or bad or otherwise, I've done my best and I'm proud of the film. I don't know how people are going to receive it. And there's nothing I can do about it, how they receive it. I just know I did my best and I'm proud of it. And if it does win awards or if it is acclaimed, hey, thank God for it. Great. If it isn't, I'm still proud of it. It's not going to change who I am or what I set out to do.
Now, how about you mentioned a lot of people did not want you to jump, And as I was going through and reading some things, there was something I did see about a certain person, and actually I saw it in a video too about another person. And one was being your mother did not want you to do this jump, and the other was Charlie Sheen.
Uh-huh. Yeah, but they didn't want me to do it for totally different reasons than most others. No, Charlie offered me a king's ransom not to do it. He was just terrified of me doing this, and that's not unusual for Charlie. I mean, he in 1990 he wrote me a check for $1 million, gave me a check from it to stop doing stunts. He's hated that I do stunts forever, so that's not unlike Charlie, and he was terrified of me doing this rocket. Very supportive, but terrified nonetheless. And the other one was my mother. During the process of this whole thing, my mother passed away, and I was very close to her. And I wish she would have seen that I actually made it across in one piece, because terrified of me doing this thing.
Well, you had that angel on your shoulders for this whole thing then.
Pretty much, or I thought by sunset of that day I might be seeing her again in person. That did cross my mind. I thought, well, hey, by sunset I might be face to face with my mother again. I know, it's a little warped mentality there, but you try and find the best out of every situation, right?
Absolutely.
But no, I wish she would have. I wish she would have seen that I actually pulled it off.
Who were some of the other people that were trying to talk you out of it? Like, did anybody like?
Well, no, other people weren't. Well, yeah, there were several people trying to talk me out of it, but no, there were people that really did not want me to do it because either it would make them look bad or it would. Oh my God, we thought even we were going to get court injunctions trying to stop me. It was pretty gnarly. In fact, on the day we were going to launch, we closed the gate behind the property and locked it, and I had sentries looking out in case the police were going to show up with a TR, a temporary restraining order, to stop me, a court injunction. I was going to launch anyways. I figured they could just pick me up on the other side of the canyon if I made it. Probably make a better story if I got arrested.
I was going to say,
no, it was a nightmare. This process, I will say, was not easy. I got extorted a couple of times, because people knew that I had so much invested in it. So there were a couple of frivolous lawsuits that I just had to pay off because I could not time to go through the court system to win the thing the right way. I just had to pay them off. I mean, you have no idea the kind of nightmare, and it's not even in the film. There wasn't enough film to cover the nightmares that I went through.
Ooh.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. So I wouldn't recommend that sort of undertaking for anybody else. It was a lot of stress. Aside from the fact that you end up with a rocket that you're not even sure is going to, just explode right there on the launch pad. But even getting to that point, there were a lot of sleepless nights. I was pot committed. My partner, Stephen Golubiowski, he said to me, I was into this thing $1 million of my own money, and I'm not a rich guy, but I was into this thing $1 million before I even had the rocket ready, on the ramp, and people were trying to stop it. And my partner says to me, "Hey, you're pot committed. You just got to keep pouring money in it. You can't back out now." And then when it got even worse, he said, "Well, sometimes you have to double down on that craziness." It was very stressful.
Holy cow! But and then
what?
But all this money you guys are investing in, and then I mean, like you said, you weren't even doing it for TV rights or anything.
No. Here's the thing. Here's one thing I have learned. Money comes and goes. I've had money. I've been dirt poor. I've had money. I've been dirt poor. Money comes and goes. But the chance to do something that you are truly proud of, something that lasts a lifetime. I've pissed away tons of money on stupid things I don't even remember. So this seemed like internally for me, it seemed like a noble enough cause that whatever the cost, if I could do it, it would be worth it. So things are a lot more important than just money.
But did you ever think to yourself, maybe jumping some Greyhound buses could have been a little easier?
Sure, it could have been easier. and that's why there's several guys that have done it.
That's true.
I wanted to do something, I wanted to do something epic. Listen, here's what I did know. It was either going to be an epic success or it was going to be an epic failure. But there was going to be nothing mediocre about it.
Yeah. There was no middle ground.
The chance to go for it. I mean, listen, the roads are paved with flat squirrels that couldn't make a decision one way or another. Once I made a decision, it was just all in.
Now, actually, you guys just recently announced, too, there's new executive producer, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. How did he get involved?
Oh, my God. This project, if there's one thing I've learned about this project, I called it. I told, Steven, my partner, and my director, Kurt, I said, this is the Magical Mystery Tour. I've got this bus, right? And people are getting on this bus, and I'm not sure exactly where this bus is going, but along the way, it's been really cool. I mean, some really cool things from Slash to Mr. Johnson and whatever. I could have never predicted that the biggest action star in the world currently, right, Dwayne Johnson, he thought this was so cool that he wanted to shepherd this thing and bring it to the world. I mean, he and his partner Danny Garcia, she's the power behind the Rock. So it's Dwayne Johnson and Danny Garcia. They have a company, $7 Productions, and they saw this whole thing and said, we want to take this thing over. We want to take this to the world. I mean, for a guy like me, I'm like a regular schmo. What do you say when you get a message from The Rock and he wants to, I kind of always thought this thing would be like that silent tree that falls in the forest. If no one's heard about it, did it really happen, right? Well, along comes Mr. Johnson, and he's like the giant oak that falls right in the middle of Times Square. He wants to take this whole movie globally. I mean, he's got big plans for this thing.
Wow. That's amazing.
And that's humbling. No, it's humbling. Imagine, if you were me, a regular schmo, and you've got people like them going, we want to invest in you. I mean, it's kind of scary and humbling at the same time.
Wow.
So we'll see. The Magical Mystery Tour continues, I guess. I mean, there were other episodes. When Flash tells me he wants to give me a theme song, how do I respond to that?
Yeah.
It's really humbling.
Wow.
Excuse me?
It really is. I mean, it's just amazing. I mean, from this end, it's amazing.
Yeah. Hey, like I said, I never did this thing to get any awards. So we enter this thing in a film festival, right? And the reason that we entered it in the film festival was just kind of like a coming out party, a debut, right? We couldn't think of a better venue than here in Los Angeles. Let's, my hometown, my home city, L.A., born and bred here. Let's release this film here in this competition. Well, 5,300 films submitted into the film festival. Out of the 5,300, they selected about 200, and I think it was like 235 or something films were selected. And I was thrilled. I was shocked they selected mine. But the capper, which I was not prepared for, was that we won a damn award. In fact, people go, did you know ahead of time? I didn't have a clue. In fact, when I won, I was so shocked. I cried like a little 12-year-old. I had no speech. I had nothing. I had nothing but tears. I was shocked. Yeah, we won.
Oh, now that is that just speaks volumes. Like this whole situation, not even that, but just the whole situation speaks volumes about you. It really does as a person. I mean, because I don't think.
Well, I know some people just say I was just so damn stubborn and determined that I wasn't going to stop until I was successful or it killed me. Some could perceive that a little differently, but who knows? Again, I can't predict how people are going to perceive it. I didn't do it for that.
Yeah, but I mean, out of a million people, you would probably be the only one out of that million, and you're just the person that did it, but the person that did it without looking for a payday out of it. You know what I mean? Like, who would do that? Like most people, like I said, 99.9% of the people would do it for that initial payday.
You've got to understand. you got to understand the background of it. I mean, the whole reason I became a stuntman is because I met Evel Knievel as a kid. You know, I mean, what better way to gracefully bow out of the business than finish out your hero's dream? I mean, how many people ever get that opportunity to finish out their hero's dream? So it really didn't. It you know, when I met him as a kid, man, the guy wore a cape. Come on, it was like touching Superman's cape.
Yeah.
And I had to figure out a way to bow out gracefully from the business anyways. As a stuntman, I've been doing it, you know, a long time, and I've loved every minute of it. But, you know, I've said this so many times, you never want to be the last guy at a party. You know, you just don't want to be that guy. And my whole career in the film business, to me, it seems like it's been one absolutely wonderful party. I mean, I'm so blessed and fortunate. I get to go to work and I get to do bitchin' stuff, and it's like a big party. But you don't want to outlast your welcome. So I started thinking to myself, well, you know, I got to figure out a way to gracefully bow out. And I thought, what better mic drop than to attempt pulling off what my hero started? So there were several things all at once that came into play, and none of those need any kind of adoration from people. Those are all internal things.
Yeah.
So you know, everybody else in that crowded room, they were looking, and I was looking at all these faces. You know, I purposely stood in the back of the room so I could see everybody, and you know, a lot of these guys wanted to do it for their sponsor so they could get big sponsor money. Or, you know, I don't know how many Red Bull hats I saw guys wearing cocked sideways. And I thought, these fools, they're just, all they want to do, you know, it was really weird, actually. And it made my life a nightmare because, you know, when you have 30 guys all saying they're going to do it, you know, who does anybody know who really is?
Right.
So it was a, what's that? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How did you and Scott hook up with all this? Were you guys like friends before this, or?
No, not at all. This is where this whole thing gets really weird. I actually met Scott through Facebook, believe it or not, social media. So, yeah, you know, people say, Facebook and Instagram, that stuff's so bad. Well, yeah, it probably is bad in certain respects. I like to think of it as a double-edged sword. You know, it can be very powerful if you use it somewhat correct. I mean, look at Mr. Johnson, The Rock. He's huge on social media, and he uses it correctly. Anyways, so somebody said to me, hey, you got to check out this Scott Truax. He's the son of the original builder, and you got to check him out on Facebook. So, you know, I went and found Scott on Facebook, and so I sent him a direct message, you know, one of those DMs. I said, hey, my name's Eddie Braun. Look me up. You can IMDb me or whatever. I'm like a real professional stuntman, and I want to know more. So I guess he did, and he got hold of me, and he still didn't really know me from Adam. So I had to show him I was serious. So, you know, I had to gamble a little here. I sent him a check for $10,000 in cash. I said, I want to build, you know, give you the money to build me a rocket. And when this check comes, go ahead and cash it and know that tells you I'm serious. So he got the check, called me up. He goes, you really did send me a check. I said, yeah, I meant it. He cashed it, and then he knew I was for real. You know, you got to put your money where your mouth is if you're serious.
Absolutely.
And that's where same thing with the Knievel family. Boy, that wasn't easy. The other thing was, I knew if I was going to do this, I would absolutely need the blessings of the Knievels.
Sure.
You know, anything short of that would have been, like I said, a bad Elvis impersonator. I had to have their blessings. So I called Kelly Knievel, the eldest son of Evel, who controls it. And I said, you know, my name's Eddie Braun, I'm a professional stuntman, and I want to jump the, you know, in probably less than 10 minutes, he just hung up on me.
I was going to say,
right? He hung up on me.
I never heard many pleasant things about Kelly.
Well, no, I love. We're very good friends now, and I love Kelly. He's very much like I would imagine his father is. He's just kind of a gritty guy and no nonsense. And listen, he's probably heard it from everybody around. You know what I mean? He's heard every line and every BS, whatever. So I get it. It was frustrating. He hung up on me in 10 minutes. I go, okay, I got to get to this guy again. So I called him up again. And I said, Kelly, you know, you hung up on me. At least give me a couple minutes here. Let me talk. He goes, okay, what do you want? It's kind of like what he said. And I said, my name's Eddie Braun. Again, you can look me up. You Google me, Facebook me, whatever. I'm like a real stuntman. And I said, you're in Vegas. You know, I'm in Los Angeles. I said, Kelly, you're in Vegas. All I want is 10 minutes of your time. Please give me 10. I'll fly out there and give me 10 minutes of your time. He goes, okay, meet me at this breakfast place, whatever, right? So I figured, okay, I better show him I'm serious. So legally, if I wanted to legally, I could have done what I did and changed a few things. Like, for instance, I wanted to call my rocket the Evil Spirit. I could have easily called it Evil with an I instead of an E. Because, right? And I knew this.
Sure.
So what I did was I figured I'd do the same thing that I did with Truax. I flew to Vegas with a bag of $10,000 in cash, $100 bills in a paper bag. I met Kelly for breakfast, and right away I took out the 10 grand and put it right in front of right in front of him. He looked at it like, you know, looked very strange in this breakfast. And I said, I want to try and jump the canyon. I want to name my rocket the Evil Spirit, and this breakfast is going to determine whether I spell it with an I or an E. Money is far. And he looked at me and he says, this is exactly what he said. He said, what are we playing, fucking Jeopardy? You want to buy a E? Sorry about my language. You probably have to edit that out, but he really said that. Said, are we playing Jeopardy? You want to buy an E? I said, yes. This 10 grand, I want to buy an E. I want to call my rocket the Evil Spirit with an E. He looked down at the money and he pulled it aside and he said, you just bought yourself an E. But what that did, and I said, okay, will you sign this napkin really quick saying that I can? So I made him sign a napkin, you know. But what that did was so much more than just buy me an E. What it did was it showed him that I was he may think I'm nuts, but it showed him I was serious.
Right.
And slowly, as he did his homework on me, and, you know, he made phone calls, I'm sure. He's very intelligent. Yeah. He saw that, hey, this guy may not blow himself up trying, but at least he's going to, you know, really seriously try it. And over the course of the years, we became quite good friends. And he's a different personality. I mean, he's no nonsense. He pretty much will tell people to F off and not think twice about it. But that's just Kelly. So once I had Scott Truax in my corner, who could actually build the rocket, and I had Kelly Knievel and the Knievel family behind me, well, then, you know, the rest of it is just hard work and figure it out.
That's awesome.
You know, but at least I knew what I was doing had integrity.
Now, how about the film itself? Like, when will everybody else be able to see it? Where will it be seen?
Well, I almost every day I'm dealing with meetings and whatnot on the film now. Especially this thing is growing in mass as far as momentum. Especially since we won that award and right here in Los Angeles. You know, there's all of a sudden now I couldn't get people to even take my calls. Now all of a sudden now everybody's returning my calls or taking my calls. It's funny how that works. So they'll definitely see it in next year, beginning of next year, perhaps. We're working on the distribution deal now. And like I said, Mr. Johnson and Ms. Garcia, they $7 Productions, they really want to make a big deal out of this thing. So fortunately, I got a lot of smarter people around me now. So I'll kind of leave it up to the experts to figure that out. It's an uplifting film. I mean, excuse me?
Which part has been harder, the whole film process or the jump process?
Well, that's the thing I really didn't plan for. See, it's hard enough to build a rocket, get it across the canyon. No one else has ever done it. That's really hard to do. But equally as hard in a different way is in Hollywood to make a movie, especially one that you self-finance. Those are
Right.
two entirely different projects, and they're just daunting project, and we had to figure out a way to do both simultaneously at the same time that would dovetail together, because you got to understand, we were filming this movie for years, putting it together. We just needed the ending. In fact, we actually filmed an alternate ending because I needed a finished movie, and I owed that to everybody that spent the years. And we didn't know if, quite honestly, if this thing was going to kill me or not, and we needed an ending to the movie. So we kind of filmed a secret little alternate ending in the event that I was killed, so they'd stuff something in there and have a finished movie. Maybe if the film does well, we'll put it out as an extended version. That little piece. Hey, if you're watching this, things didn't go so well for me that day, but one of those things, because we needed an ending.
Now, so if this goes out on DVD, will you have that alternative ending that everybody can see?
Oh, we have absolutely. We have all kinds of things that we really didn't put in the movie because, we spent I started all this. I got hold of Scott Trucks. It was in September. September seems to be a good month for me. We started this in September of 2013. Took 3 years to do all the nightmares and headaches to get an actual rocket, and I launched on September of 16. I crossed the canyon September of 16. And then it took an additional 2 years to put everything together, and we premiered the movie a few weeks ago, September of 18. So a total of 5 years, 3 for the rocket, 2 for the movie. It's a long time of uncertainty. None of it had a certainty to it.
Wow. This whole thing has just been amazing. It really has.
Well, I don't know that I'll ever do an undertaking like that again. It was really taxing on me emotionally, not to mention financially, but emotionally, it was very taxing.
Sure.
You have to understand, at the same time, I still had to hold on to my day job, being a stuntman.
Ooh, yeah.
It was really tiring. It was not easy. And, along the way, I had to convince an awful lot of people that I would actually do what I said I was going to do. Fortunately, my word's pretty good around town.
And you backed it up even more with this whole process.
Well, yeah. I mean, there was never any like a binary light switch that's on or off. It was constantly convincing different levels. There were sponsors that, everybody thought it was a cool, great idea till it was time to put their name on it. They go, oh, wait a minute. If you blow up on, I even talked to some people at Mattel who, wanted to make these little new rockets. And they said, well, yeah, but God, if he blows up or something, I don't know that we want to know this is a Mattel rock. You know what I mean? Everybody thought it was a great idea till it was time to like sign up for it. And it was like, how frustrating that is?
Well, how about in because I'm sure you're probably in like a lot of these Evel Knievel Facebook groups. I'm sure you've seen like people have made like little like action figures of you with the rocket and all. Like, how about?
I am so that's one of the things that's so flattering and humbling. I actually had a couple of people make me little action figures of me and the evil spirit, my rocket, and it's like.
Right.
Again, I'm one of those guys. I'm like a big baby. Some guy comes up to me and hands me that. I just ball up like a child in tears. How do you describe it when some guy makes a model of you? You just hope it's not a voodoo doll and they're sticking pins in it. No. Yeah, it's very humbling. No, very humbling. I've had a couple of people do that, and a couple of those models I proudly display and encase in a special place.
That's awesome.
They've given me these things, and it's like, wow, somebody took the time. One guy, he said he took 3 months building a model of me, and it's scary looking how it looks real.
Yeah, some of the ones I've seen, I'm like, wow, like they're so lifelike.
Yeah, but imagine how you'd feel if somebody did that, kindness of their heart, did that for you. How do you put words to that? It's like, again, I just tear up like a baby. I don't know how to handle it.
I would do the same thing. I'm like that too. I would cheer up and give the person a hug.
Yeah. Oh, I gave lots of hugs, and then I'm not sentimental when it comes to my own stuff. Pretty much, like a T-shirt that I was wearing under my fire suit, I just give all that away. The only thing I really want to save is my helmet. Other than that, the other baubles, my gloves, whatever, I just give it to whoever really appreciates it the most. I don't care. That stuff doesn't matter to me. I lived it. I don't need that stuff. I'll probably end up giving the actual rocket. I'll probably give it to Mr. Johnson if he wants it. He's got everything else. What he doesn't have is a rocket, a real one. I'll end up giving it to him maybe if he wants it. I don't know. I don't need it. In fact, I will never climb in it again.
How about sending it over to the Evel Knievel Museum if they would want it?
Oh, I'd be honored. Are you kidding? If they'd want it, yeah. But see, I'm not Evel Knievel, so why should my rocket have any significance in the Evel Knievel Museum?
It carries on the spirit.
Yeah, if they'd want it, are you kidding? I'd probably have it there. I don't know. It's like I said. I'll figure all that out as the right now. It makes for a cool prop though. When we show the movie, we usually have it when we premiered it. We had the rocket there, so anybody could climb in it or take pictures with it if they wanted to. I didn't mind. Climb in the thing. You see how miserable it is. So right now it makes a good prop, I guess.
I can't wait to see this film. I really can't. Well, Eddie,
I can't tell you. I can't tell you whether it's good or bad because it's about me. I can tell you that I'm very proud of it. So when you watch it, at least know I laid it all out on the field on this film.
I have no doubts it's good. I can't wait to see it. And we know how it ends, so we don't have to worry about that alternative ending. Yeah,
that's true. I mean, I did make it across. There was no camera tricks there. It was all for real. There's not one frame of CGI, computer generated imagery. There's not one frame. Here's the bitchin' thing on the launch part of it. I think we had like 23 cameras, something like that. And every camera got it. I mean, some of the shots, you look at these shots, I look at my director, Kurt, I go, how the hell did you get some of these shots? None of it is enhanced at all with computers. It's all, that's why I always said, this movie is as real as it gets. There's nothing phony about this movie.
God.
Some of the shots are incredible. I passed a camera going over, because I went from 0 to 439 miles an hour in less than 3 seconds. And there's a camera, a drone in the air that I pass at well over 400 miles an hour, and it's just the shot. It's in slow motion. It's incredible. I looked at Kurt, my director. I said, how the hell did you get this shot? He says, well, we gambled that the cameras would get it all with some of it. We had so many cameras, we knew we were going to get something. Well, in his brilliance, pretty much every camera got everything.
Oh, that's awesome. That is so
Which
awesome.
would have been awful if we'd had a mishap. This thing would have been on film, preserved forever from many different angles.
Oh.
But
well,
yeah, the shots are incredible. What's that?
It was happy landings and happy ending.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, now all I got to do is get all the money I sunk in it. I always said if I broke even, that's a huge win. And it looks like I'm going to break even pretty well. So yeah, it is a happy ending.
Good. That's awesome. Well, again, Eddie, I want to thank you for coming back on, and congratulations on all this. And I can't wait to see this. I really can't.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm humbled that you even care to have me on the show. So thank you for having me. As far as the film, I hope you like it. I can't give you your money back if you don't, because I'm still kind of broke. So don't ask for your money back. But no, I hope you enjoy it. And at the very least, know that I did my best doing it. I did my best. Nothing was cheesy from my part that I tried. I mean, we all did our best for making this film. So I hope you enjoy it. I mean, I hope it's uplifting, because there's a lot of work went into it.
I know it will be. I'm utmost respect for you and what you've done, not only with the movie and the jump, but all the work you've done over the years. Which, you know what, real quick, I got to ask too. A person I grew up with and then another person I grew up with is an actor / comedian. I saw you worked on his show, Jamie Kennedy.
I love Jamie Kennedy. Oh my God, he's a friend of yours?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I just saw him like a month ago. He was here in town doing stand-up.
Oh,
yeah, I grew up
God,
with
yeah.
him.
Yeah, he's a good dude. I don't know him that well, but but I've worked with him quite a bit, and in fact, he had this show called the Jamie Kennedy Experiment, and and one day we did a stunt on it. I did several stunts on the show, but one day we did a stunt that was so convincing that we started a near riot because we had a large studio audience, and we pretty much started a riot because they were defending me to Jamie. They had to rush Jamie out of the place with security because people wanted to kill him. It was hilarious. He actually, they made me go back out there and tell everybody I was okay. So they got me in the dressing room and said, "You got to go back out there. They're tearing the studio apart." I had to go back out there and assure everybody I was okay. Jamie will remember that. What a great day. Yeah, I've had fun with Jamie Kennedy. He's a good dude.
Now, there's another guy that me and Jamie grew up with that actually moved out to L.A. with Jamie when he originally moved out there, and he's a stuntman now, John Donahue.
I'm sorry, what's his name?
John Donahue.
John Donahue. Doesn't ring a bell with me, but that doesn't mean anything because there's so many. There's not like there's only 2 or 3 stuntmen. There's several of us. So just because I doesn't ring a bell doesn't. I wish him the best of luck. It's a hard career to be in.
Absolutely. Cool. Well, Eddie, again, thank you so much. This was great catching up with you.
Thank you. The pleasure has been mine. Really, thank you so much.
And you did great. You were saying you were going to be not that much of a talker. You did amazing.
Yeah. Well, my palms are sweaty, and no, I hate this stuff. To be perfectly honest, I've been pacing back and forth. My forehead is all sweaty. No, I'm awful with this. I hate this is the part. There's a reason I always say this. There's a reason I'm a stuntman and not an actor. I'm just. We even said it for my movie. I'm the face you never see, which means you shouldn't hear from me either. I'm kind of like Stick. Just be quiet, do your job, and. So, yeah, this is very uncomfortable for me doing this sort of thing. Simply because, I don't know. It's just not my environment.
You did great. You did great.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. Okay, you take care.
You too. Take care, Eddie.
Bye-bye.
All right, there he goes. Stuntman Eddie Braun. The film will be out early next year. Check it out. I can't wait to see this friggin' film. And I felt weird, like he said he was wanted to give the rocket to the Rock, and I kind of was taking it away from the Rock and giving it to the Evel Knievel Museum.
The Rock's like, yo, fuck him. I want my damn rocket.
Yeah, like the Rock can buy a rocket, right?
No, yeah, he build your own, right? No, exactly, the people's rocket.
The people's rocket. There you go.